What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna watch a Steven Crowder video titled "I Found Common Ground with a Young Black Socialist." So we're gonna see what this conversation is like. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe while you're watching the video with me. Now let's get into it.
Really?
So explain to me what you mean by that you're a libertarian socialist.
Okay, so what I mean is, the way I see libertarian socialism is I see it as democratization of the economic sphere, right? Mm-hmm. So we've had democratization of the political sphere, right? We had that with like the Enlightenment, which led to liberalism, liberal democracies. That's what we have today. Democratization of the economic sphere, I see as workers controlling their pursuits in their work, controlling their workplaces, having a say in decisions within their corporations, in the places they work, instead of a very rigid, hierarchical, top-down system where you have a board, you have the C-suite, command.
Well, I will just say, before Steven Crowder gives his answer, some workers don't want all of that responsibility. Some people are just workers because they want to be workers. Now, do they want to, if they're being treated wrongly, do they want to say or do they want to say in that? Of course. But if, there are people who are okay with their working conditions in certain places. There are in certain work environments, you'll have some people complaining and some people are just okay with it. But yeah, just throwing that in there, everyone doesn't want to be at the top of some hierarchy. Some people just want to, receive their instructions, get paid. Do their work, get paid, and go home.
Standing orders from the top down. I think that if you work at a place like, say, Amazon, you should have an equal say in the operations of that company as Jeff Bezos does, or as, anyone else does, because
all right, now he just lost me right there. No way should someone loading trucks have an equal say to Jeff Bezos. That's crazy.
And
I'm not even a big fan of Jeff Bezos, but come on, man. What he's doing with Amazon it's impressive.
Work for this entity,
So a couple of things. First off, I'm not a big fan of Amazon, but let me ask you this.
Really?
Let me ask you this. How do you juxtapose that with the idea of libertarianism, which is the right of the individual? Because you just said that a worker
that's actually entrusting liberty to the individual.
Well, what about the liberty of the individual who invested all of that money and risk and resources into creating the company, only to not be able to reap the rewards, right? Okay, how is it justified to take that by force, which is always what happens in socialism, from Jeff Bezos?
Mean by that? What are you taking? His money?
Yeah.
Well, his workers are the people that provide the labor. The fruits of Amazon are because of his workers.
I would disagree.
Really?
He started Amazon.
He did.
There are no workers without them. Do you really believe that?
Let me know what y'all think about that in the comments below. Who's more important, the man who started the business or the people that work for him? Let me know.
The labor of, for example, putting a postage stamp is the same as someone who invested millions, potentially billions of dollars, lost it in their own savings, right? Invested in a company, built it from the ground up. Do you really think that they should be compensated the same?
I'm not saying that there should be equal wages. I feel like that's something that is so far, like from a socialist perspective, something so far in the future, it's not really even worth discussing right now. What I think
it is important because I need to know your end game.
Oh, like what is?
Yeah, I need to know in your idea, sort of, and I think that I don't think I'm mischaracterizing you, in that this is sort of a utopia, which we know will never happen. But what would that look like? Because as a business owner, I would never have started I employ 15 people, and by the way, I pay significantly more than 15 an hour. I would have never started it if I thought that I would have the same amount of say as my 15 employees.
Because that is a lot of sunk cost that you put into starting something, right?
I made no money for half a decade.
I understand that, but the way I see it, or the way I think companies should be moving in the future is towards a worker co-op type of model, right? A model where there's true democracy in the workplace. You have workers discussing, all right, what is our company's operations going to look like for this? What are we doing with X? Everyone.
I'm trying to listen to what he's saying because, the ideas he's pitching and the way he presented himself, he comes off pretty smart. You know what I'm saying? I like his, I like his presentation. But again, like Steven Crowder said, this kind of sounds like some utopia stuff that more than likely won't become true. Like I said, people, example, a Jeff Bezos, he's more valuable than the people who load his trucks, because he's providing them a job. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people like him think that, you know, the guys at the top make so much money, the guys at the bottom don't, you know, that they're getting scammed out of money. They might be, but Jeff Bezos is the reason that tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are able to feed their family and pay for their car and all types of things. So you gotta recognize the value in the person who started the business itself. You gotta look at it from a business mind and not a worker's mind.
Everyone gets a say in it because everyone is affected by it, right? Like if you are involved in a system and you have no say or no choice in how that system operates or how it, literally just how it operates, then I mean that seems.
Well, let me ask you this. So, because you just used the example of a system, so if I may, I'd like to go with sort of your allegory there. Do you believe that every person who uses a system of iOS or uses a system of Microsoft, do you believe that they're do you believe that they're just as no, it's not. Do you believe that they're just as qualified in determining how that system should work as the person who created the system?
No, because if you're a consumer of iOS, you're not involved in the facilitation of it. Like you're not.
So let me ask you this, and let me scale it back a little bit. I was using your analogy of the system. Do you believe that people who work on the lower levels at Apple, on the floor, for example, putting together iPhones, or people with whiteboards, do you believe that they should have?
I think I know where your
they're
argument's
just as
going.
capable.
In your specialization of labor expertise, I totally understand that. I'm not saying totally disregard things like expertise. Like if you have, say, Apple, you have very specialized employees working on a very specialized product that they're selling, right? It wouldn't make sense for someone like a janitor working at Apple in order to be able to deliberate how something like that.
So then who determines?
But the same thing goes with the Amazon comparison as well. The people loading the trucks can't run the company. I mean, that's just how it is. You got to work your way up to that. The reason those people are at the top, unless they were inherited that business, they had to start it, figure out how to run it, take the losses, and you know, that's just what it is. It costs to be the boss.
Which person's opinion
People
is permissible?
Involved in the process. That's my thing. Is because it's the same thing.
So you mean all the workers?
Workers, yes.
So the workers would vote?
Yes.
Do you not think that the janitors would vote for themselves to be specialized engineers?
Well, I mean, I don't think that's exactly how it would work. It's hard to speculate as well how something like that would work with Apple. I
don't think it would. Really? I don't think there's. No, I'm just asking you. Why would you don't think the janitor would say oh yeah, I want to do that job? Why would they vote against themselves? My point is, as a business owner, I have people who work for 15 people who work for my business. I am so grateful that not all of them have a say in every decision that's made, because many of them have no idea, and many of them would not want the responsibility.
And also, too, when someone has to be driving the ship or the plane. It has to be a leader, a captain, because when you have too many people chirping and giving their say and their say and their say, nothing's ever going to get done because no one's ever going to agree on anything. So that's why there has to be someone willing to make decisions and take the risk at the top for the people at the bottom.
Difficult decisions.
I'm not even saying completely disregard expertise when it comes to making decisions that require that expertise and specialization, right?
Okay.
But I feel like.
But how do you enforce this? Let's say the workers vote. Okay.
Yeah.
So in a free society, a libertarian society, the workers vote, and the business owner says, no.
Well, I mean, in that theoretical society, there would be no owner. All these workers would be equal participants.
So then how do the businesses get created and started?
Like I said, worker co-ops. I feel like we should eventually move towards a system in which you have worker-owned cooperatives.
So how do you displace the current owners and turn it into co-ops, right? At some point...
Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren actually had...
not Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren.
They kind of had a plan on this, not exactly to the extent that I would envision it, but...
The same Elizabeth Warren who went after the GameStop bettors and defended Wall Street?
Here's the thing, I'm not...
I know that you were pissed. You must have been pissed about that, right?
I'm not a fan of Elizabeth Warren, I'll tell you that, but...
All right, common ground.
But, they both proposed, hey, we need worker representation on the board, right? On boards of these companies. Workers who work on these floors of these companies, workers who are doing a brunt of the amount of work that provides Like, what you love about Amazon is the fact that it's so efficient, is that they get you your shit in one day, right? Like, the fact that they're very efficient in doing what they do, but that comes at the expense of these workers. That comes at the expense of, I mean, like, you know.
So I don't agree with your premise that workers are doing the brunt of it, and I think that anyone and there's
Really?
look, and here's the thing. Here's what's interesting to me.
Okay,
Can I finish? Can I make a point here?
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is, for example, if you look at the increase in corporate tax rates, okay, supported by Amazon, supported by all the big companies. You look at the lockdowns, supported by all the big companies, right? We've created more, and this is Bernie supported lockdowns, Elizabeth Warren supported lockdowns, Socialist supported lockdowns. They're the party of big business. Let me explain to you why. There are no more. No, let me explain to you why. We have created more billionaires this last year. Do you realize that? Than ever.
No, billionaires have gotten insanely rich.
No, but only this last year, and there have been more middle-sized businesses and small-sized businesses that have been shuttered than ever before. Now, guess what? Those mid-sized businesses oppose the higher corporate taxes, oppose the democratic socialism. The only people who support it are Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
Well,
they support your ideas, but people like me who employ 15 to 50 people are against it.
You say they support.
You know, I want to say just in the middle of this, shout out to this young man, because although they have different opinions is no verbal slurs, no name calling, no nothing. They just talking it out. And like I said, he seems intelligent. So he's not just speaking, he's speaking with some research behind it, I'd assume. But yeah, let's get back into it, guys.
Support my ideas, and yet I want democratization of the workplace. They definitely don't support that.
Well, guess who's going to have the ability to get a waiver just like Obamacare? The big companies. So we'll have to democratize my workplace, but they won't do that at Amazon.
I mean,
do you disagree with me that there are elites who have more influence and lobbyists for Amazon than me with my little YouTube channel?
That's just how this country operates.
Right.
It's like
and
the
I just
influence of like effective oligarchs.
And do you see
like big tech companies, like Jeff Bezos of the world?
And it's interesting that we went from the bureaucrat phase to the oligarch phase to invoke sort of Orwell, right? Which is where we are at this point, where almost conservatives now. Here's one thing where I think we can find common ground, because a lot of people say, like, well, you sound like a socialist to me. But let me explain to you why. Where I go, look, you have 5 companies, the wealthiest people, increase their net worth by $600 billion in 6 months in this pandemic, right?
Insane.
Insane.
Like,
we agree that that's terrible, right?
Yeah.
Do we both agree like that's...
Absolutely.
Now, we probably agree it's morally reprehensible.
Yes.
Same thing that all these billionaires are created when small businesses are suffering. Now, here's where we differ, okay? I think it's reprehensible. Not if they made their money honestly, I couldn't care less. If Amazon made that money,
I think it's impossible.
Well, no, my point is, if they made the money because I chose their goods or services voluntarily, I don't have a problem. The reason they made that money is because of Elizabeth Warren's and Bernie Sanders and Biden's and Kamala Harris's, who shut down the economy and determined winners and losers.
Exactly. That happened, and it drove all of the business right to those big companies, and the smaller companies got destroyed, man. It's a restaurant right across the street from my house, La Petite Cafe. And that restaurant got shut down, man. And it's, you know, like I used to go to that restaurant every day, but the small businesses don't make it. And then all the business goes to the big companies. So, you know, I think it's great that he stepped up and had this conversation with Steven Crowder, because he might not have people like Steven Crowder in his life, you know what I'm saying, to talk to him and give him these opposing views. I don't know what he watches on YouTube or whatever, but this was a pretty fire conversation.
In other words,
Absolutely,
I was precluded from going to a local grocer. I couldn't go to the local coffee shop. In Michigan, I couldn't go to the local nursery, but I could go to Costco and I could order from Amazon.
Here's the thing. I totally agree with everything you just said, but our difference comes with the solution.
Right. I don't believe that more government would make it better. I think more government has made it worse.
I think that government keeping these businesses afloat is not only good, I think they had a moral obligation to do so.
But they didn't keep businesses afloat.
No, exactly.
They only gave money to their wealthy donor class.
Oh wow, I need to watch the full length one, because it looked like it was about to get even better from there. But that's it for the video, you guys. I talked enough. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe on your way out. Let me know what you want to see next in the next videos to come. Till next time, guys. Peace.